Hi Gears fans and welcome back on Gao series videos. This time we're ready to analyze in detail the announced trailer of the new Gears Tactics, revealed at the E3 2018 with a brief in-game demo. Unfortunately, the video has not been shown at full screen, but it's possible, however, to glimpse many interesting elements of the gameplay. Before starting with the technical analysis of the mechanics of Gears Tactics, we would like to provide you some information about the game's background. As many fans will know, a strategic title inspired to the franchise of Gears of War was already in plan since a long time. Epic Games tried to create it, but the project never seen the birth. After some years, the coalition engaged the talented team of Splash Damage, after cooperating with them with the previous projects of the Ultimate Edition and Gears of War 4. This new game also lost the words of war and officially came part of the new group of games in development at Microsoft. As Rod Ferguson tells us, this spin-off is set 12 years before the events of the first Gears of War, exactly 2 years after the Emergence Day. The protagonists of the game are trying to stop a Locust monster maker, already responsible of having destroyed whole cities. In the story of the franchise, a new enemy with this characteristic has been introduced recently. His name is Ukkon. Presented within the Rise of Ram saga, this shady individual has exploited his genetic and engineering knowledge to create new weapons for the Horde and genetic hybrids. He has created helmets that can control the beasts of the Hollow to subjugate them to the Horde. A clever system to control them and exploit them in the war first with the Lambent and later also with humans. As we hypothesized in our previous analysis, we are still convinced that Ukkon is none other than Niles Samson. The demo presented opens with the arrival of an armadillo. A team of soldiers is going to the battle zone, while the enemies are already opening the fire on them. The camera moves inside the vehicle, where we are shown the close-up of a soldier with beard, shaved hair and a white tuft. He is giving orders to his companions, making it clear from the beginning that he is the leader of that team. The scene is interrupted and we immediately pass to the deployment of forces on the field. The protagonist with the white tuft is pointing out to the partner the position to take. This soldier wears a standard suit of the COG soldier and a hat. The soldier with the tuft instead wears a completely new armor, similar to those of the first chapters and those seen during the Pendulum Wars. At this point we notice that the mission requires that Gabriel and Sid must not die. Rod Ferguson has stated that the teams will be customizable. The latter is composed by 4 characters, but only 2 of them must not die. So we suppose that also Tactics exploits the structure already used in the old chapters of the saga. The real protagonists will be 2, but they will be joined by secondary characters, as in the past Kim, Carmine or the Alpha could have been. Having customizable teams and using a structure similar to XCOM, we can assume that the other 2 characters can die and be replaced during the adventure. Watching the video entirely, we discover that Sid is called Sid Hunter Redborn, but there's no trace of Gabriel's full name. Besides Sid is bald and with mustaches, we can imagine that Gabriel is the guy shown in the demo opening scene. Not being able to know for sure who is him, we try to analyze this situation, to make some hypotheses that we'll discuss later. For now, let's focus on the gameplay of the new Gears Tactics. We can see that the game will feature a first-person mode that will allow to aim freely and even take a headshot while using a long shot. Even if the footage doesn't show different body parts getting highlighted, this reminds us of Fallout 3 VET system, or more recently the one used by Phoenix Point, a game in the same genre as Tactics. The next scene has a lot of very interesting informations. At first glance, it looks like a real-time phase, but we instead believe it to be the enemy turn. There is a red glow around the camera, and on the bottom right corner we can see Wretch triggered Gabriel's Overwatch, while a Wretch walks inside Gabriel's vision cone. Over the player units there's also a crosshair icon with an eye inside, that must be the Overwatch icon. The Overwatch ability is a stable in turn-based strategy games, and it allows a unit to automatically shoot at an enemy entering the line of sight. What is interesting here is that, compared to XCOM, Gears Tactics seems to be using a more detailed system that lets players decide where to focus a unit's attention. Last but not least, it looks like the game is using a more traditional action point system compared to the simplified move and shot system seen in the new XCOM games. We also know that there are at least 3 different classes, as we can see the words Scout, Sniper and Heavy at different moments in the bottom left corner next to the character portrait. The approach to a new genre for the Gears franchise is a very welcome news, especially because the unique characteristics of this brand seem to marry perfectly with the game structure proposed. The title will have a narrative component brought forward by the cutscenes and the story of the 2 protagonists. Gabriel in particular could be very important for the lore of the game. We had thought a lot on who it could be. We know that he was already a soldier during the first years of the E-Day. We know that unlike the other soldiers already seen in the franchise, he has a colorful tuft. It's just this minor detail that makes us think that he is Gabriel Diaz, Kate's father. The references to his character in Gears 4 are very hazy. We know that he and Oscar were both soldiers, that he was a strong person, able to lead a group of civilians outside the rules and protection of the COG. That white tuft among black hair could be a style choice that Kate inherited. The connection between Gears 5 and Tactics seems very strong. Kate has become the protagonist of the new main series, while the father could be the same for the spin-off set in the past. Moreover, Gabriel is an Hispanic name, exactly like Oscar, perfectly to associate with the surname Diaz. In the end, there are 2 things that we believe can confirm or refute our hypothesis. Gabriel is hunting what seems to be Ukon. If the enemy were the mutation of Niall Samson, there will be a real continuity between the 2 games, since Kate must go to New Hope to discover her origins. There may be an explanation of how Gabriel and Reyna met each other, and how she was linked to Ukon. The problem with this theory is that it contradicts the hypothesis that Adam is the father of Reyna, conceived during his presence in the Hollow. Gabriel is at least 20 years old at the beginning of the Locust War, so Reyna should be at least 18 years old to have an age similar. In Gears 4, however, she has a youthful appearance, and even assuming by hypothesis that humans age more slowly on Sarah, the whole thing seems a bit forced. To conclude our analysis, we point out that Gears Tactics was obviously thought in a PC perspective, but recently some leaked pictures revealed a new device of Razer for Xbox, a keyboard with integrated support for the mouse. The game at the moment doesn't have a release date. We therefore expect that it will be also brought to Xbox using this new device. The Gamescom could reveal some details about it. That's all for the moment. Keep following us for new analysis and insights. This is Gao Series Videos. I'm Screech93. Thanks for watching.
Did you see that?